So Terry Bollea, known of course to us fans worldwide as Hulk Hogan, has passed away at the age of 71. The news was confirmed this afternoon. He died in Florida of a cardiac arrest. And man, as a wrestling fan, you think you get used to these announcements. You see so many of your childhood heroes and icons go too soon, and you think you're immune to it, and then something like this comes along, and I mean, to say I'm shocked is an understatement. Recording this, within an hour of hearing the news, just kind of looking through the various reports, some of the tributes that started to pour in from the wrestling community, and just trying to wrap my own thoughts around this, really. I mean, Hulk Hogan, wherever you fall on Hulk Hogan, there is no professional wrestling as we know the business today without Hulk Hogan and without Hulkamania. The very first trading card I ever got, and the first thing that ever hooked me on the world of wrestling, was Hulk Hogan. It was a black and gold Merlin trading card from 1992, and I remember this incredibly bronzed, bleached frame of a man with a huge Fu Manchu moustache just staring out at me from a card, and I had no idea at all what wrestling was whatsoever. I'd never heard of wrestling. I didn't know what the WWF was. I didn't know who Hulk Hogan was. But the second I saw that card, I was like, wow, I want in on whatever this is. I was just immediately drawn to this larger-than-life character, but this real person. I'd grown up on superheroes and Ghostbusters and Turtles, and suddenly to discover that there was a world, real-life He-Men were there. That was what drew me in, and it was always that first card with Hulk Hogan on. And throughout my wrestling life, from those early days when I became a fan in 1992 all the way to today, Hulk Hogan has always been a constant. Following his career, the amount of conversations I've had on this show with so many people about Hulk Hogan, notably Eric Bischoff, who's been on the show a few times, and obviously an incredibly close friend of Hulk's, and my heart goes out to Eric and his family right now. Very good friend of mine, Mark Mero, when we were working on Mark's book together, we talked a lot about Hulk. Mark shared some really beautiful stories of how Hulk had helped him at various points in his career, and the kindness he'd showed him. And Mark has just talked about on his socials how Hulk Hogan was a man with a big heart and a genuine desire to help others, who was a proud supporter of his school program, Champion of Choices, and spoke out openly about bullying. Rest in peace, Hulkster, says Mark. Ric Flair has posted one of the first to visit me when I was in hospital with a 2% chance of living. He prayed by my bedside. Yes, I'm just kind of this is a very raw video today, so you have to apologise that this isn't as slick as one of the videos I usually produce. But I'm just shocked, as I'm sure so many of us are right now. 71 years old. It's the same age I lost my dad a couple of years ago. It's the age when you're just really kind of starting to look towards retirement and what the future is. Of course, in the case of Hulk Hogan, that future was Real American Freestyle, this new promotion that he was launching. The first show of which is due for August. Just absolutely crazy. And I just think back to everything that I've witnessed as a fan of Hulk Hogan. I know so many of my friends, he was their childhood hero. He was their icon. They were huge Hulkamaniacs. I came into wrestling really when Hulkamania was at its tail end. But I more than felt its impact, especially when I started to look back and follow wrestling history and look back at everything I'd missed in the 80s when I started to watch early WrestleManias, when I started, of course, collecting Hasbros. I mean, I've got to have him here, the Hulkster. I mean, one of the greatest Hasbros of all time. But of course, his impact, I was very fortunate recently. Some of you may have seen, I did an interview with Kurt Fuller, who worked alongside Hulk on No Holds Barred, the 1989 film, which was obviously a vehicle for Hulk Hogan. And, you know, we had some laughs and we shared a lot of memories and fun from that film, because it is a fun film, you know. But Kurt did also say at the same time, you know, that Hulk did a great job for what he'd been given, as in he wasn't really a trained actor, and he had to, you know, keep a whole movie going that was built around him. And yeah, just pretty crazy. Obviously, you know, it wasn't just Hulkamania that changed wrestling, but it was the New World Order. You know, the NWO, when Hulk Hogan turned heel in 1996, which was something that no one ever thought would be possible. Hulk Hogan turning heel absolutely changed the game. Wrestling would never be the same again after that night in 1996. And, you know, WCW's 83-week unbeaten streak over WWF was just unprecedented. No one would have ever thought that it was possible for the WWF to be beaten, and to be beaten so resoundingly. And so much of that lies in Hulk Hogan and his ability to be a heel, and to be a heel so convincingly. And every time you thought that you were counting Hulk Hogan out, he had this incredible ability to reinvent himself. You know, when he came back in 2002, you know, I've spoken to Mike Chieda about this countless times, about Mike being there as the third man in the ring for The Rock versus Hogan, and how whilst Hogan went in as the heel, there was no way, as soon as that Toronto crowd saw him once again making his return to a WWE ring, there was no way that he was going to be anything other than their hero. And they had to change the match on the fly, and everything about that match shifted because the fans on that night loved Hulk Hogan and they wanted to cheer for their immortal childhood hero. Just so many of the conversations I've had on Wrestling Life have ended up coming around Hulk Hogan, or have involved Hulk Hogan, because his footprints are all over the wrestling product today. You know, wrestling today is so intertwined with Terry Bollea and Hulkamania, and a world of wrestling without Hulk Hogan involved in any way, shape or form is a strange one to wrap my head around. Charlotte Flair has posted a tribute saying, when I nearly lost my dad 8 years ago, one of the few people who was there for all of it was Hulk Hogan. My heart breaks for Nick and Brooke. Rest in peace, brother. And I think those are perfect words, because no matter where you land on Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, his politics, some of the controversy, this is, at the end of the day, is a father, it's a family man, and it's someone who a lot of people loved and who are going to sorely miss. And for us as wrestling fans, it's someone who gave us a huge amount of cherished memories and moments and unforgettable times that we will never forget. So on behalf of Wrestling Life, I just want to offer my condolences to the family of Terry Bollea at this time, and say thank you, Hulk Hogan, for the memories. Thank you for everything that you gave us fans. Thank you for everything that you gave the business. And rest in peace, brother. This is Ben Veal. It's been a very unpolished but important Wrestling Life to record right now. Thanks for bearing with me today. Be good to each other. See you soon. Bye.